Hey everyone, this is Kenny Coins with Marathon Money. I'm with Ann here today. And I don't know how to say your last name properly, so I'm gonna let you do it.
Ensenbach.
Enstenbach. So I met and reached out to her on LinkedIn, like most of these shows have started lately. Um, she was kind enough to really get on the show this morning and tell us about herself, tell us about her company. So my first question is, how was your mindset when starting your journey?
My journey began mostly out of an area of frustration. Uh, being a woman in manufacturing, as well as working from a ground level. Uh, my history comes from a very impoverished place, and working your way out of that situation, and then continuing to push harder and work harder. And as you rally that support and you keep going, that's when you really look at the opportunities, and you just have to keep going. And ultimately, that's what I did. I was working in manufacturing, and I hit a glass ceiling, and it just ate at me. And I knew that I could do things better, and I knew there was a really good concept in regards to my composite, which is what we're mostly known for, as well as being a conduit for really solid, high quality manufacturing, and really supporting the American made standards. That's what we do. Is we do contract manufacturing, we do composites developments and research and development to help support manufacturing industries, as well as to various sectors of those industries, and then continue to grow out those relationships and bring in even more innovation and really disrupting the markets as much as we can.
So let's talk about some of the products. I know, doing some light research, I know you do women's body armor.
Yeah, it is one of the things that we are most known for. We shocked the market with that, and that was the intention. Our body armor is an omniform, so we can actually fit both genders and all different body types with it. However, when we introduced to the market, we knew that the female population of that was very much underserved. So our way into that market and to show the capabilities of our ballistics, that's where we launched out. And I've continued on with that because I do believe we need to protect all of those who serve, in whether it's emergency services through law enforcement up into the military, and the other groups that are along with that. Uh, but we need to make sure that we're serving all aspects of those markets. So we wanted to hit out with an area that was least uh, served, and then be able to provide a really good solution that could expand out from there. And
How
that's
do
what
you
we've
feel like,
done. Yeah.
I'm sorry, how do you feel like the traction has been?
It's
Like
been really
once you
good.
enter that market?
I have seen, and I'm very proud of this, I've seen a definite flux in that category. I've seen a lot of other companies cater to that, and providing more of a multi curve. I've seen more and more of the female form soft goods that are created for it, as well as more of those curved plates to be able to help uh, create a more custom fit for non standard body types. So uh, ultimately, we really just want to provide the best protection, as well as a really tight fit, so you don't have to worry about shifting. There isn't the extra weight, so it allows maneuverability, as well as expanding that into more of the tertiary areas to protect some of the most common areas that the body armor doesn't normally cover.
So how are you scaling this? Like what are you doing to scale this?
As with any industry, the most important thing to do is to have partnerships, work with those who've been there before you, provide a value proposition that gets them motivated, and then continue on from there as far as being able to work on projects together, as well as branching out from that. So utilizing that access to be able to do some things on our own, but really contribute back to the partners in the industry, and just continue to grow it.
So when you was in manufacturing before
Yep.
and you was working for somebody else and you talk about this glass ceiling that was kind
Yes.
of like you couldn't really break and it was kind of itching at you. If you could break that glass ceiling, would you still be there?
With the concept of Apex, I created it several years ago, and I ultimately would have stayed there a little bit longer because I really felt that I had a general purpose there and I was making a very big difference in the company. But shortly after, I still would have done Apex because I think it's important that we have those standards that we have set, as well as provide that environment for future industry workers to be able to grow into further positions and be able to get into different categories of manufacturing, whether it be automation or research and development, being a real engineer as far as being able to create new and innovative products, but also just giving that opportunity for someone to really show their skills. And I don't feel like I was able to do that. I don't think that the concepts and ideas that I had that would improve production and streamline processes and be able to bring uh, a very cohesive, lean concept in. And it was really great because I had great leadership there. That was something I was very grateful for. But again, I ultimately would have still done Apex because I feel it's important that those are executed, as well as I had personal goals to be able to do this, as well as keep growing it and expand it out.
So how tough is, the industry that you in is pretty much like, I correct me if I'm wrong, is it male dominated?
Yes,
Is it really
yes.
tough for like women to really step in there and like say, look, I have this product. I know what I'm talking about. Um,
Yes.
are they receptive to those changes?
Yeah, it's always a struggle. I don't know if it's really gender related as much as it is that experience, and when it comes to the body armor industry, that is very much male dominated. But I've seen such a shift in that, especially women in manufacturing. I've seen a great shift in that, and I'm just grateful to be a part of it. But yes, they are very male dominated even still now. Uh, but thankfully, we're seeing a trend of more of a equal opportunity in that sense.
Military contracts, how is that working out for you?
It's going well. Ultimately, we do a lot of joint bidding, and be able to have that support from very very strong partners who already have those contracts established. As far as working on them ourselves, we first had to get our certification as a woman-owned business, and then from there, it definitely opens a lot of doors. So I strongly recommend getting that certification, and really pushing forth, no matter what gender you're in. But having the certification to be able to bid on these and having that verification of your company and the verification of what you stand for as a company is just vitally important.
Getting this off the ground, what has been the toughest part?
Oh man, uh, there's so many. It's just really getting that reach, and that's definitely a challenge. Is developing that trust factor, and it really comes down to just showing it over and over and over, and being able to give those examples of this is our quality, this is our testing, this is our results, and just keep pushing. And when it comes to hearing no's, at that point it's just it helps you grow and it helps you know what you need to do in order to continue to succeed. And that's one thing I'm really grateful for, is I've heard a lot of no's, but when those yeses come in, they're just even more sweet, I guess is the best word for it.
Now, so what makes your product unique?
Uh, in regards to manufacturing, I think our biggest differentiator is the fact that we can, as a contract manufacturing company, we can hit multiple uh, divisions of industry, such as aerospace, defense, getting into automotive, agricultural, things like that. So we're not limited by a category as far as that goes. Same with research and development. In regards to Armor Co., uh, the biggest thing that we have is that ability to create that uh, really tight fit for multiple body types, and then just also providing the best protection, and the most current uh, materials that we're always testing, seeing, what is the best way to make this better, make it stronger, and from there really create exactly what the market is looking for and or lacking. And we've done that once, and the challenge is on us to continue to do that.
What do you like now? I'm like envisioning, and I also saw the thing on your website, and I'm kind of envisioning, but as body armor um becomes less bulky, is there a danger to where that it might not withstand like the shielding because they're not as bulky as they used to be? I'm starting to see more slim, more fitted body armor. Um, how is that still protecting the individual?
Well, there's technology out there, and it's really great as far as absorbing that kinetic energy, and that's one of the things that is one of my biggest concerns with seeing everyone in this fight to get these, ultra thin uh, plates, because at that point there just isn't enough material to stop that kinetic energy. So yes, it may stop the projectile, but that impact is still there. So what you need to do is you need to disperse that energy, and that is something that, we thankfully have access to proprietary materials that have significant testing on that stand alone on themselves, and combining that technology together has been vital in regards to being able to streamline and slim the plates down, but still take away that impact and that energy that comes through, because percussion hits do more damage than an actual penetration would. As far as internal injuries, especially if you get hit in the head, you'll never be okay again if you survive. And then, of course, any internal organs, or anything like that can be extremely damaged. So that is one concern that I've been really watching, and really paying attention to, is these ultra thin plates and how they transfer that energy. And we're in a position where we've always had the ability to disperse that energy, and that's why we can do a multi-hit on a plate and still be able to function on it. But we need to make sure that we're continuing that as our plates get smaller and thinner. And thankfully we've had that ability to get that IP and to be able to do that. As far as the rest of the industry, I've seen a lot of really great innovation out. Definitely some really good solutions for that. But then in other cases, it is a little worrisome.
Yeah, you brought up like protecting the head. It's like, is there anything coming out for that where that doesn't impair somebody's vision or hearing? Is there anything out there? It's like, are you working on? I don't want you to give away like secrets, but like, is there something like you're working on that? Because I haven't really seen anything like truly protects the head from like bullet wounds or
Right.
large impacted trauma.
It is something that I've been working on multiple aspects of it. And then, of course, it comes down to helmet structure, and then what I call secondary layers, which is being able to disperse that energy with almost like a ski mask, if you will. And that is something that I worked on for quite a while. And then that's at a point where that could execute out. We're just kind of waiting for the right time to introduce that to the market, as well as having a really good opportunity to combine other technologies with that, such as different helmet uh, configurations, different companies have different materials and they all have different advantages. So really kind of figuring out how they all work together. And then of course, making sure that that relationship's solid so we can create a cohesive product that really helps a lot of people and brings a lot of safety and saves lives. And that's ultimately the goal. And that's one thing I'm really proud of with this industry is collaboration is vital. And that's very well understood. And being able to flex that is really what's going to keep the industry alive, and being able to compete with international uh, technology that's come out, as well as of course pricing is always an issue with that as well, and making sure that we create an effective product at the best price we can to make sure we are competing with international markets, but also we need to surpass that technology so that even doesn't come into play, because we are
Do
providing
do you
something
feel like
that's really useful.
technology in your space is like moving rapidly quickly?
Yes, especially when you start looking at AI and getting into the programming side of it, which is not my forte, but that is where I've seen exponential growth in that aspect. It's amazing what they're doing right now, especially in aeronautics, and getting into some of the options that are available to us that we are continually as a country competing for.
You're running a business. You're kind of in a like a $50 billion industry. Um, like, what is your like mindset towards the future of your company? Where do you see it being in like 5 years?
Well, the future's in the employees, right? They're the ones who make the money. So my focus is really growing that workforce and continuing to educate it, because they're the future of industry. And coming from where I came from, I grew up as a ward of the state, so I definitely came from a very impoverished area, and being able to continue to grow it uh, is kind of where we're looking at, as far as being able to continue to motivate that in the industry. But the future is definitely in the operators and being able to grow those skill sets and making sure that that legacy lives on through the next generations. Because the last thing we want is for industry to die out. Because then at that point, uh, who knows where we will be at that time and how dependent we would be on other areas of the world.
How are you competing with like robotics entering like the manufacturing industry?
Oh, we just work with them. That's the important thing. When something new comes in opposed to being worried about it or stressing on it, you need to embrace it, see where you can fit into it, and then as those opportunities grow, really jumping on that and saying, "Here, we can support you in this way." And that's important that we keep that concept going back and forth and that communication. You can't be afraid of them. If you can't work with them, then you need to beat them, right?
But how are you going to beat something that can work 24 hours? Like, I feel like you have a good point. You have to kind of adapt at that point. You have to come really adaptive and say, like, you know what, I'm just going to learn how to work with you, and I'm going to learn how to make this work for my business so we can grow.
Right.
Or we're just going to be in a complete competition, and you're not really going to beat a machine that's pretty much with AI can slowly start to realize with ChatGPT that they can learn on their own. So I feel like your business has multifaceted challenges, um,
Hmm.
but it seems like you kind of have all the answers and know what to do. You kind of have a like a
Not
plan.
always. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know everything. I don't know all the answers, but the biggest thing is I'm always willing to learn. I'm open to change. You have to be flexible and you have to be willing to get that education and really to understand what is going on, doing the research, doing your homework in regards to how you can continue to be relevant, how you can continue to expand into that. When it comes to AI and robotics, right now the only thing you can do is be on the creation side of it and making sure you're in the innovation of that. From there on, utilizing it in a way that is advantageous to you, but also make sure that we keep that culture as far as the industries and the actual company itself.
So, how's international response to your product?
Significant, and that's really
Is
important. It's,
is it more
we're almost
significant
more a
than the
global
U.S.?
company than a U.S. company, right? Even though
Oh,
we are strong on American made and keeping that focus to the gold standard of U.S. manufacturing, our reach is significantly more vast in those markets. Mostly because a lot of the products that are in contract now are products that have been around for a very long time. There are more of a comfortable assurance of those results. And then, like I said, internationally, there's more of an interest in really the newest technology and deploying that. And to me, that's a little frustrating, a lot more than a little. But you kind of have to get in where you fit in until you create the best opportunity for yourself to work in your markets locally.
so do you feel like it's harder for people to change in the U.S. than internationally? Because
I do.
okay,
I don't mean to offend anyone on that sense, but I really do think so. When it comes to our contracting, uh, there's just long established uh, companies that more than deserve it. Uh, it's just when it comes to new innovative companies, that is something that you really have to prove yourself out in the market for a long time in order to get that access. So that's what we're doing. It's not about any sort of agitation in that. It just really comes down to making sure that we're really proving ourselves out. And right now, that's with international markets.
I feel like when I have spoke to like different like CEOs, people like yourself, who's trying to push a product or trying to push something that's innovative, new to the market, it seems like internationals are international companies, more people internationally are more receptive um, to listening, to understanding, to purchase, to take action. Um, I see that even with this podcast. I have like almost 100,000 to 200,000 international listeners on a consistent basis. I kind of see that across the board. Um, and that could be extremely frustrating. But like, how are you marketing to them that saying like, oh, I want to use this product? And then are you selling it to other militaries outside the US as well? Or are you just selling it to everyday consumers?
We do not do any retail products. All of our ballistic materials and manufactured materials for anything that would be considered for defense is all for the military and law enforcement sectors. When we work with international companies, there's a lot of things that come into play with that, such as end user certificates. We have to know exactly where they're going. There are certain areas that we definitely don't want the technology to get to. So that comes into very much into place. Having that research and having that ability to know for sure where this is going, but also just making sure that we are assisting not only the U.S. reach, but those who are allies of us, and just securing that security and I guess protection is the best word for it. It's important that we know exactly where that is going, but also ultimately it just comes down to saving lives. Every life is important. Every single life is important because you never know. Someone might be the future Ann Ensenbach. Who knows?
Yeah. I didn't think about it like that. You guys are in a particular space where you guys kind of have to know where your technology is going. It's not like
Right.
I didn't really put that together, but that is a very accurate thing. Um,
Also,
I
if I may, the biggest thing too is when you're coming up with these new technologies that could be adapted into those, you really have to watch that as well. It's not just in ballistics. It's really important that you know exactly where your technology is going to be, where it's going, and ultimately what its uses could be. And then you have to make a responsible decision as to whether or not that would be good for the future and good for right now. And it's sometimes it's a really hard decision, but you have to make sure that that responsibility is there and that research is there, and really knowing that no matter what, this is going to help people, and it's not going to be used for, uh, I guess, nefarious types of reasons. And you have to anticipate all of those angles.
Yeah, that's a different type of research.
Mhm.
Um,
It
that
is.
seems more time consuming to make sure your product lands in the right hands. Definitely with military implications. Um, but so what would you say to yourself like 10 years ago now? If you were able to talk to yourself 10 years ago, what would you say? Would you do anything differently?
No.
Same.
Yes. The only thing I would tell
Same.
myself is just keep going, keep pushing. You have something that's great. You have something that can grow into something that will help so many people, as well as, help secure the future of manufacturing. I've always loved manufacturing. I've always been fascinated with how things were made. I've always been fascinated with the idea of asking why. Why is it done this way? Why do we have this type of technology? And usually the answer is, well, that's the way it's always been. And my always my response is, just because that's the way it's always been doesn't mean it's the way it should be. And so I've always strived to really find out if what we're doing is the best process, is the best thing. The only thing I would tell myself is just keep going, just push as hard as you can, maybe do it a little faster. It would have been really cool if we could have brought this sooner. I think, but everyone would say that.
Yeah, everybody say their wish their product or their thing they're doing was a lot earlier. But you never know. You could have done it earlier and then might not have worked out as well as it working out now.
That's true.
Um,
Very true.
so we might not have all the knowledge that you have now. But I really appreciate you coming on here. I think what you said was you dropped some gems, and I definitely learned a lot about how things are done with the military and being in your space. I think is something that uh, my co-host will always talk about when there was like a shooting or like something happened with an officer, or we'll just always wondered, or something happened in the military, we'll always wonder like how who creates this armor, who creates the guns, who creates all this military stuff, and then how are they getting it out there and becoming like successful at it. um
Here's the
just
thing
some of
I
the
do
stuff you
want to
told me
say
answered a lot. Yeah.
in regards to that is we also need to give serious recognition to those who do the training on those situations and those who respond to those situations, especially when you talk about mass trauma events, uh, very serious type of situation, and those who respond to it, those who act. We can provide all the materials we want, but we really need those people in there, not just training at the operators, but those who operate, and be able to provide that selfish service to everyone involved in that. And yes, there are things that we continually look at and want to make sure that we're assisting. We do have partners that we're very proud of that do those types of trainings, and I just really want to make sure that they're being recognized as well, because again, without them, the body armor would be irrelevant.
Yeah, that's true. Just want to say thank you for your time. I really
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
for having me.
I think everybody would enjoy this when it comes out. um Hope you have a good weekend,
You too. I
and
appreciate it.